beautiful people, welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to talk about how great my life is. No, I'm just kidding. Well, we are going to talk about how great life is, how great your life is, and why it's important to actually firmly believe that and to emphasize that. So let's dive in, shall we? So actually, believe it or not, I have very, very low self-confidence. Why? I don't really know. I think it was kind of a mix of like family upbringing, just because my family was always worried about money. We never had enough of it, obviously, and then socially in high school, mainly because high school, end of high school, like junior year of high school, that's when classes started to get harder. I started to struggle in school, and I didn't necessarily get the peer support that I wanted to. What type of peer support did I want in high school? I wanted people to pat me on the back and tell me that I was a wonderful and beautiful individual. And of course, nobody does that in high school. So it was kind of like, obviously, I wasn't going to get like the respect, the social standing in high school that I wanted, because everybody in high school is, self-conscious as it is. And then my family with the money issues that just like, over the top, don't have high self-confidence. I just don't. And sometimes it gets kind of, I would say over the years, I wouldn't say like currently at the moment, but like over the years, like when I was applying to grad school, my low self-confidence definitely showed, because like there would be times when I'd have you guys all know this, right? Like there'd be times that you have all your ducks in a row. Like you worked so hard on this paper. You spent like every minute studying for this test. Believe me, like I'm a hard worker. I do an active studying method, at least like towards the end of school, undergrad, during my internship for sure. I started to get in the habit of transitioning from like passive learning to active learning. So I put a lot of time and effort, and like, just because music therapy is very subjective, it is hard to get like 100% and have it be backed up. You know what I'm saying? So like there's no facts. Sometimes there isn't a rubric. So people will I've had several professors give me a B, and then I'd argue it and say like, oh, why'd you give me a B? Like, what's the reasoning? And then they'd just be like, oh, just the way you wrote. And it's like, no, I need facts. So my self-confidence actually it was never really that high, even like in college, even in undergrad. Definitely during my internship, it wasn't high, and practicum, because like they literally grill you for every single little thing, which I don't really think that that's useful, because at some point you just start hearing yelling and corrections. You don't necessarily grasp the corrections. So, but anyway, and I continued into my job. Obviously, I didn't have high self-confidence at my first job, because it was my first job. And I really didn't know what I was doing. Well, I knew more than I thought I knew, if that makes sense, and that tends to happen. So finally, when it came time for grad school, of course I got into grad school, and that was very rewarding, and that definitely boosted my self-confidence, considering I do not have a business undergrad. I never took any finance classes in undergrad. I never took any business classes in undergrad. So for me to get into University of Miami's business school and their MBA program is pretty darn amazing. I mean, of course, I had to jump through hurdles, because I didn't have a bachelor's degree in business. I didn't have a bachelor's degree in finance, but I passed those hurdles. So that gave me a little bit more self-confidence, I would say. But the real self-confidence actually started and when I took my first class, like my first master's level class. So I do get nervous when it comes to taking tests. I was never a good test taker. I'm still not a good test taker. But I'm trying to get better. So anyway, when I took my first quiz for my graduate class, it was really, really bad. Like, I freaked out. I totally, like, forgot everything. You know, like, I had no idea how to use the principles. Like, everything just, like, went out of my mind. And then, like, and then there was a timer. I think the test was, like, an hour and a half, which, like, in reality, that should be plenty of time, because there were 20 questions. But the thing is that most of the questions you had to calculate, and, like, I was kind of slow calculating them because, like I said, I didn't do finance. I didn't do any business classes. Anyway, so the end of the test, oh my gosh, I got like an 80. And this is, I know you guys are like, oh, that's not a big deal, that's a B. But like in graduate school, like it is a big deal considering you only have 7 assignments for like the whole class. So like if you get a B in one, like your grade either is gonna be a B. Well, actually, let me just say that in that particular class, I had 7 assignments. They were all tests, right? So one of those assignments, I got a B. Okay, so if I wanted to get a B in the class, which I didn't want to get a B in the class because I had to have a GPA of a 3.5 or higher, right? So like, yeah, so like if I wanted to get a B in the class, then I'd have to get B's on all the tests, and the tests were only going to get harder. Yeah, and then if you're starting out with an 80, it's really hard to get it up to an A. So that's why it's a big deal. And I think that it is emphasized because when you tell people, oh my gosh, I got an 80, this is the worst day in the world, they don't necessarily know that, oh, it's because there's not that many assignments, and it's really hard to bring the grade up because all the assignments are tests and they're only going to get harder, and I have to maintain a certain GPA. So that's like why it was a big deal. Oh my gosh, it was horrible. And then, so then the next test, I studied a little bit more for, and now I kind of got the gist of like how the questions were asked. And on that one, I got like an 83. So we were getting a little bit better, but not good enough to get an A for the class. So anyway, what ended up happening was the next week, of course, I did the study prep, study measures. The studying isn't the issue here. It was just more the test anxiety portion, because like I knew all the information, I knew how to apply it. It's just once you sit down and you take the test and you see the timer flashing, that's when I would start to like freak. And then I'd start to second guess myself, just to give you guys a little backstory. So anyway, so then what ended up happening was this third time I took the test, and third time I took a test for this class, I ended up writing down all of my worries and insecurities and issues and struggles and concerns, right? So I wrote it all down and on my iPad, of course, and I got it out of my head. And then right before the test, I was like, I got this. I'm going to be so great. I'm going to be so wonderful. I'm so smart. I got into this program. Like, oh my gosh, like I'm going to be a genius. I'm like the youngest one in the program. I'm so great. I'm so beautiful. I'm so perfect, blah, blah, blah. So I was talking myself up, right? And I took the test, and guess what I got? A 90. That's how crazy self-confidence is in terms of numbers. And I continued this process throughout the class, and then ended up getting 90s, 95s, 98s. So it actually really improved my score significantly. And so anyway, so that was like the first time I kind of started to talk myself up, and it really improved my score. And I was like, this is amazing how I improved it that much. Like just getting all the worries, getting all the concerns out of my head and talking myself up actually helped me feel more confident in the information I studied for all that time. That's something to keep into consideration, that you spent all that time studying, talking yourself up only makes that information have more weight when you need to use it. So this is when, once I noticed the results, of course I did it for the next couple classes, and of course I got better grades, the more I became comfortable with the process and all that stuff. But I started to think like, what if I started to do this in my daily life, what's gonna happen. So that's exactly what I did. And I don't want to say there's a difference between being cocky and being confident. Being confident is like that you're proud, or at least I envision it in a way that like you're proud of your accomplishments, you're excited to talk about them, you're excited to share them with the world, because in a job, your pride, you know, the things you're passionate about could actually be beneficial to the company. And a lot of times that's kind of sort of what I was going for in interviews. I didn't say it exactly in that way. But being cocky just means that like there's no room for like, oh, I'm already perfect, there's no room for improvement, you know. In my opinion, that's how I take it. So being confident, you understand that there's room for improvement. You understand that you're not perfect, but you're confident in what you can bring to the table and what you spent your time on. So that's kind of the vibe that I went for when I went on job interviews. And believe it or not, I got a lot of job interviews, or I got a lot of positions offered to me, more than before. Like I would say, if I apply, let's just say I applied to 10 jobs, right? And I know, of course, like the resume, they only weed out 5 of them. And then like 5, you get the interview. And then I would say that like prior to doing this method, I probably get like 5 interviews. I probably get like 1 or 2 job offers. But when I came across confident and excited and eager and proud of my accomplishments, then it was definitely like 3 to 4 job offers. So like I think that makes a significant difference, especially in this economic time, that being confident in yourself and in your accomplishments actually provides you with technically double the amount of jobs, right? Because I went from 1 to 2 to 2 to 4. So yeah, so then that's the story. And that's always a good position when you get 4 job offers and you get to decide which one. Like that only brings your confidence up. So that's why I talk, and it is a time and a place manner. Like on a date, I'm not going to be like, oh, I'm so great and I'm so perfect and I'm so pretty and look at my accomplishments. Like, of course, I'm not going to do that. That wouldn't be an appropriate time or place. But in a job interview, it's very appropriate. Like before a test, it's very appropriate to like talk yourself up, you know, maybe before like a procedure. I'm obviously like I'm in healthcare. So like before procedures, sometimes talking yourself up or kind of like pumping each other up if you're supposed to do a procedure that you're unsure of, going on interviews for school, like anything that's more, I guess, growth for yourself, is good. I think it's really good to think about it and start to like go through that with your head. Like everybody's life is a little bit different. Believe me, I tell you guys all of my questionable morals and how like my lifestyle isn't the typical Armenian woman lifestyle that my ancestors probably would have approved of. But it doesn't matter because like my life is great. I'm very smart and I'm taking advantage of that, and I want to show off and like help the world and help patients. And I think that that's a beautiful thing, and that's why I'm confident in myself. Now, of course, you might be doing something different. Maybe you really like working at TJ Maxx, that's your thing, and you're going to become a manager at TJ Maxx. Okay, like you didn't go to college, I'm assuming. Maybe you graduated high school, but you're not going to go to grad school. But if that's what makes you happy, then you be excited and proud about that, you know? Maybe you got a job right out of college and you're going to stick with that job, and cuz you just, I don't know, it's just close to your house and it's fine and it's doable. That's fine. That's great, you know? Maybe you're going to go off and get your PhD and find something wonderful and help the world, you know? Maybe you're going to volunteer at Red Cross, you know, occasionally and work at McDonald's. That's fine too. Like every situation is perfect. You don't have to be on the journey that I'm going on. I actually prefer that you don't, because I like that it makes me unique, you know? So you don't have to do what somebody else is doing, you know, to be confident in yourself. Like you have to figure out and know that what you're doing it for a reason, and you're doing it to better yourself or help yourself or make more money, get a bigger house, stay in the same house, regardless of what it is. Like, maybe a house doesn't really matter to you. Maybe you can work at like Giant supermarket for the rest of your life, and that would be okay with you. That's great. Just be confident about it and like brag about it and talk about how, oh, I really like this grocery store. I really like that they're not union based. I really like my schedule. It's great. It's wonderful. And I love it. And that's all that matters. If you love your journey that you're going on, that's all that matters, because you're the one taking it. So just be confident, be proud of your accomplishments, and be open to sharing that with other people, because that's a beautiful thing. Everybody is beautiful in their own way, and you should be proud of yourself, regardless of whether you're a doctor or working at Starbucks. You should be proud of yourself and proud of your accomplishments and excited to share that with the world, because it will only help you in the long run.